My name is Michael Potts. I live on this Scepter 36-foot sailboat, and this is where I am today. I'm on the Hudson River, heading south to New York City. The Hudson River has so many beautiful sights. I mean, there's so much history here. These old places through the centuries, and the Americans built these just defensive structures. Such an amazing place. I mean, these castles must have been here for hundreds of years. In this video, we go to New York City, and I'm going to show you a little bit of some of the sights beforehand, and then we're going to go into downtown New York City. This is a sailing channel, so I'm not going to go crazy with the vlog inside the city, but in this video, basically we get to New York and get settled in and take a quick look. This is part one of this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys a little bit about where to anchor and what to do when you're in New York City. There's just so many cool places you can go. I mean, I could have spent a month here. Now, of course, I'm trying to get south to the Caribbean, so I was only here for about 4 or 5 days. Kind of interesting here. To get this shot was crazy. You're not supposed to fly drones anywhere near the Statue of Liberty, and when I got the shot, the cops came right at me, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. He must have not seen the drone, because when he got here, he's like, hey, get out of the channelway, you're gonna get hit by the Staten Island ferry. And I was like, okay buddy. And then I left, so luckily he didn't see me flying the drone, which is actually a big deal. So I mean, it is a drone that's under 280 grams, so very beautiful place. Anyway, let's get into getting to New York City, and started early in the morning, and let's get into it. We are on our way to New York City, guys. It's 5:30 in the morning. We've got the sails up. The moon is out, stars are out. We're doing like 4.5 knots with the tide. And New York City is within reach here. 20 nautical miles away. All we gotta do is get there. Now this is a tricky situation because of the tide. So we're gonna go to Yonkers first and anchor and wait for the next tide. We are just north of Yonkers and south of Peelskill. We're doing about 4 knots. The wind just died off all of a sudden. It's weird. There's a huge bridge here coming up. Look at that. Beautiful. Moon's out. We're just moving along here. It's so nice not to use the engine and just have the quietness of the wind, not the loudness and the stinkiness of the diesel engine. It's great. So I'm not sure if I should continue on more. I know at 8:30 the tide's gonna switch, but if the wind's like this, I might just keep going. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna look into it, but we're pretty close to where I should anchor, which is just over there, before the river narrows and then the current gets really magnified. So let's see what it's like. There'll be a slack tide in around 8:30, and then it'll start increasing. So I'm not sure if I should continue on and put myself in a bad spot. Like if you're anchored in heavy currents and a small part of the river, I could get in trouble or drag anchor or have no choice but to turn around. I mean, I guess it's not that bad, but we'll see what happens. It's always scary going under these bridges. I know I can make it, but it's always scary. think I might just keep going, keep moving on until the tide turns and get as far as I can. It's probably the best thing to do. I bet you I can anchor even if the current is strong. You know, I do have 2 anchors, right? And then, you know, so I think I'm gonna keep going. All right, so I'm cooking bacon and I can see Manhattan in the distance. Wow. Look at this. That's it right there. Wow. Very cool. So, we're only 10 nautical miles away from the George Washington Bridge. I had to start the engine just because the winds really died down. But yeah, I'm just gonna eat some of this bacon, have some breakfast, do a couple things here, and we're gonna get into New York City. You never want to question the captain's bacon authority. We are about 8 nautical miles off of New York City. It's crazy. So last night, something major happened. I couldn't believe it. I was in Peelskill, which is just north of the city here, back that way. And I was anchored off some sort of power station. It wasn't the nuke plant. There's a nuke plant there, but there's also like a backup coal-fired power plant or gas-fired power plant. And when I approached the plant, I saw a white buoy, and I figured that was a mooring area. So I moored right there by the white buoy. And I was down below editing, and I heard this weird hissing sound, and I'm like, what is that? And I went up on deck, and there must have been a 10-foot geyser of air and water just about 40 feet from my boat. I mean, it was just spewing out of the water. I was like, holy, what is that? And it was a big wave coming at me, and I was thinking, geez, what, you know, had I have been over that geyser, this boat would have sank. Because if you understand the physics of water and buoyancy, if there's air in the water, nothing floats, you just sink. So anyway, it really sketched me out, and I got out of there right away. I was like, I'm out of here. And I went up the river, and I followed a tugboat, and the tugboat picked up a barge, and I moored right where the barge was tied up. I anchored right there. Then I got up at around 4 in the morning and started motoring towards New York City, which is right there. Anyway, that's crazy. You got to be careful, guys. Like, I think I'm gonna submit some sort of, just don't moor near that power station, guys, because your boat will sink. If that geyser of air must have been part of the power plant, you know, like must have been ejecting or cleaning out pipes or something. I don't know, but it was scary, and I'm glad the boat did not sink. So right there is the George Washington Bridge, and Manhattan beyond. Wow. So now that I'm here, I'm not sure what to do. I have a good idea of where I'm gonna anchor. I'm gonna go to like the center part of Central Park on the river, which is on the port side there, and anchor maybe for a couple days. You know, I want to have some pizza, New York pizza, maybe go and have an expensive steak somewhere, and just really hang out and check out New York. You know, I can't be here for much longer though, because I got to move on and get to the Caribbean, but we're gonna definitely stay here for a few days. It's just crazy to, like, this morning it was the perfect conditions. Wind going in the direction I'm going, tide going in the direction I'm going, and it just couldn't be better. This has worked out really well. So I actually get to my anchorage right when there's slack tide, so I can anchor, and it's just perfect. So I talked to the cops yesterday about anchoring in and around this area, and they were like, well, it's federal waters, you can do what you want. And I'm like, okay, as long as you're not in the channel. So pretty much I could be anywhere. So Just got to be careful though. I'm gonna go to a spot I've seen other cruisers anchor at. I know exactly where it is. It's like at this park just across from Central Park, in the center of Central Park, like in, you know, in terms of where the river is. So right around there somewheres. Wow, it's just amazing. You know what? It's unbelievable that I sailed here, like on my own boat. This is my house right here. It's floating all the way from Canada. Crazy. All right, so I'm gonna go ashore here in Manhattan and check it out. A couple things I need to grab, and I'm just gonna have a look around. So problem number one is I'm anchored. So if I leave the boat and I'm not there, and the boat drags and goes onto the rocks, I'm done for. Problem number two, my dinghy. If I leave my dinghy on the shore somewhere and go and explore the city, then there's always that possibility it gets stolen. So what am I gonna do about these things? For one, I've been here for 4 hours now, and the tide shifted already, and the anchor's set pretty good. I don't seem to be going anywhere. Number two, I do have a jet ski lock for the engine and the dinghy. Obviously I'm not gonna wear a life jacket in town, so I'm just gonna bring one of my really crappy life jackets and just leave it in the boat, locked to the gas tank, the engine, and the dinghy. That's the plan so far. Probably best to go somewhere public, so I'm gonna go explore this little area up here and see what's up, because if there's people there and someone sees somebody cutting a lock on a dinghy, then they might not steal it. So we'll see. Anyway, let's go check out New York City. Let's do this. All right, so I found a spot. I mean, it's as good as any. Hopefully this will work. It's locked up, right? And it's not going anywhere. I hope so anyway. You know what I need is a better lock for the dinghy. I can't stop worrying. I hope it doesn't get stolen. That's the problem. So look at this shit. It's like a bunch of people running. EV's right there. No. No. But what is it though? What is it? So these guys just came up to me and he's like, "Are you Jewish?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Ah." What the fuck? Alright, so I'm just kind of wandering Broadway actually with my camera, getting some cool shots. So I decided to go where all the other tourists go and head into the subway system and go to Times Square. That's pretty much what everyone does in New York, so I thought I'd do it myself. And just the amount of people everywhere, all different cultures, and so many like things bombarding your brain as you're walking through this beautiful city. Absolutely fascinating place. I mean, I can understand why people like it here so much, because there's so much to do. There's so many things going on at once, and so many interesting, cool people. Just fascinating. And eventually, I made my way out of Midtown Manhattan and back to the pier where Evie is anchored, and made it back onto the boat. Now, I'll tell you guys, New York City is a must-go destination. I should have been here for at least another week exploring. But in the next video, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what goes on and how you should be sailing in and around New York, where to stay, where the anchorages are. But that's all I got for you this week. In the next video, we're going to get into some nitty-gritty sailing details of New York City. Hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.